Hello and good morning, Digital Endurance Series. It is round 1, 12 hours of Lago Maggiore. Clemson joined me for the commentating of Lobby 1. So yes, currently spectating WSR Tick in the number 1 car. The reigning champions. Definitely one of the favorites today. We are in Lobby 1, so we are streaming the qualifying P135 and so on. And we're currently seeing that the top 3 cars, or P1, 3 and 5 out of the qualifying, are also at the moment the fastest here in the practice. Let's see who we have in the GT series. We have DLL Johnny, the pole setter, on the BMW M6. Also definitely favorite car, really strong lineup. I think the same lineup won just a couple of weeks ago the 6 hour of Trail Mountain. It's exactly the same lineup. Yeah, this PS4 sounds like a plane. It should calm a bit down in a couple of minutes. It's still doing its job. So yeah, quick question to you: what are your favorites for the 12 hours of Lago Maggiore? They're very, very. Yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, we raced most of them last season. We did with our team just Monza and the 224 hours. And so, yeah, competition was always tough. DLL was always fast, but I think they struggled a bit with the connection at 1 or 2 races. Yeah, definitely, definitely. But yeah, also the reigning champions are in the lobby with WSR 2 cars of WSR in lobby 1. And I think there's a little wound because I'm driving myself and it's not that much championships I won. But if I remember right, they won the championship without winning a single race. I think 2 races were won by RRC. I might be wrong. I know that 2 were won by Eric's, and 2 the 24 hours were won by us, by Halex. So becoming champion without a win, is that something you as a driver would say is something that would annoy you a bit? Yeah, definitely. I think there's no discussion that they were. Yes, yes, it is. So Rotec at the moment, not. Widow is currently sitting on the fastest lap in this lobby. He's standing in the pits. So yeah, and with talking about the teams who competed last season, there was also a car that not really surprised me, but CPTL, who joined this season, had a really strong qualifying. I think they changed something in the lineup, what resulted in their times getting deleted. Yeah, I think the lineup is with Joe Witt, with the Joe of Fire is his PSN. I know him and streamed him in GTRC in a GR4 series where he's the reigning champion, so obviously a quick guy. Yeah, I mean, the lineup looks pretty strong. Before there was someone I also knew from the series who is quick, but I think they changed something to a Portuguese guy who's unknown for me. Maybe it is. Oh yeah, it is the guy in the car that had the fastest lap before Uri Rex did it. Damn. Yes. Yeah, this is Spider GT. Yeah, 38 flat is a brilliant time. So yeah, as you see, a lot of guys to watch here in this stint. Super compact, also in Lobby 2. I think Lobby 2 is streamed on YouTube. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. There's like two final corner, for example, and one left-hander where it's really easy to get a bit wide on the grass and lose the car, smash it into the barrier. And yeah, also, even if we have a rolling starting situation, we have a short sprint from the start-finish line to turn 1. Turn 1 is really slow. Yeah. Euro Rex in the hairpin. And that's also a risk. I mean, the good thing, the gravel slows you down, so it is. If you get fully in the gravel, Yes. Yeah, definitely. And what we also see is Maggiore, of course, with his many corners. The tires are a big factor. So I think a 2-stop is the strat to go. I think fuel-wise you could manage to do the 2 hours somehow on a 1-stop, but I think tire-wise I see in the chat, have you shared your microphone, Clemson? Because Nushel is asking, is your co-commentator there? If yes, we can't hear him. Yes, he is there. We're having a nice conversation, but obviously for the stream it is a monologue. And no, I'm not talking to myself. I'm not crazy. I think somewhere in the settings. Maybe even in the party settings. Sorry for the guys in the chat for hearing just me. Yeah, we're gonna sort it, and also for currently just spectating rotate, but he's the only car on track. The rest is standing in the pits, and I think we're missing cars. There's only 12 cars, and it should be 14. Let me quickly check the race info if I can find out.
Hello, good morning everyone.
Can you hear Clemson now?
You should be able to hear me now. Apologies for the little technical difficulties.
So let's see if anyone is reacting.
I will... Yeah, so apologies everyone for the technical difficulties with my microphone. It wasn't really working, so technically I was speaking but nobody was listening to me really, so nothing new.
I was listening to you. Can you hear Clemson now? It would be nice if someone could react.
Yeah, I could keep speaking, but yeah, I don't know if it would be of any interest for anybody really. But yeah, really nice race that we have shaped up today here. 12 hours of Lago Maggiore. It's gonna be really thrilling. It's gonna be really tough for all drivers, because really this is a track that it can catch you up in any corner. We will all need to be really on the spot, you know, staying on the lines, staying on the pace, because any little mistake will basically ruin your stint, and it pretty much will ruin the race for the team. So yeah, it's gonna be really fun for watching, because hopefully a lot of battles on track. The pace for most of the drivers is fairly similar. There is a few teams that stand up, within both classes, but I think it's gonna be fairly similar in terms of pace, the race. So yeah, it's shaping up to be really fun today.
I hope so. And also the lobby situation, that the lobbies is splitted, but everyone is technically fighting for the same title. It doesn't really matter how big the gap to the guy behind is, because you never knew what is happening in the lobby, in the other lobby.
Yep, exactly.
So
yeah.
You always
This is to be honest, it will be the first time for us as a team where we're running on a two lobby scenario. So it's always, I can assume that it's always difficult to judge where you are in the race, because unless you have someone watching both lobbies, and you have a good sort of a spotter infrastructure within your team, then maybe you can actually get a more educated guess and know where you are within the race. But otherwise, it's going to be difficult for everybody. Yeah. And in the end, that really means that you just have to push.
Good morning, Flame Haze.
Forget about what is
Flame
behind.
Haze, as the rest of the chat is falling asleep, can you hear Clemson? Clemson, could you talk a bit?
Hello, good morning, everyone. Hope you can hear me now. Hope my microphone is
yes,
enough
they can hear
level.
you. They can hear you perfect.
Yeah, that's good news. Apologies again, everybody, for the little technical difficulties.
So while you guys are waiting for the start,
let's see.
Don't know where the delay results in.
We still haven't had an announcement for the second lobby, so I believe there should be a stream up, or it was. I cannot remember exactly who was supposed to, but yeah, there should be.
On YouTube. Check that. Okay, maybe we have a problem also in our lobby, because one of the missing cars has to be driven by the host, and probably we switch host. Just had it out of the chat.
Yeah, it looks like they're having some difficulties on setting up the YouTube account for the second stream, but that should be sorted very soon. There's always some difficulties with the two-factor authentications and the security logins and things like that. It's always difficult to keep that information secure, but also shared.
Complicated on Twitch, because on YouTube usually you can just give the guy you want authentication with the email address, so you don't even have to give your account data.
Oh.
Yeah, Euro Rex still in the Spider GT car, fastest on track. Currently spectating Mighty Joe in the BNR car. 3.5 seconds off.
Yeah, it seems a very fast lap, that very fast racer, that Jedi Rex. I haven't raced him yet, to be honest. This is the first time I've raced him. I know he's with Spider GT, but yeah, I'm not. It looks like he's really fast.
The YouTube stream seems to be up now, as my guys posted the YouTube link. Discord. Yeah, YouTube link is up. Your guy, Brumadinho, still standing in the pits, waiting for the start. Expect him to be Swiss Brazilian with the name.
Yep. Yep, Brazilian in origin. He's based in Switzerland currently.
Banana Josh joined the lobby, so this is car number 13. So okay, we should be fine. And this is also the car where Slim was supposed to drive on. But Josh is there now. YouTube stream is up, so we're good to go. A big Lexia from Josh. Let's hope this is only in the practice. So yeah, GTEC is missing. I think about 10 minutes delayed. I think this is, especially for the first stint, okay, as it's not that hard to calculate the gaps after stint 1. But yeah, big shout out to all the guys who are organizing in the background, like Confi, like Charles, like Nushel.
Yep, indeed. Very big shout out to them, yeah.
A lot of effort to make all this work, especially with 2 lobbies. You have to wait till everyone confirmed their gaps, then you have to calculate, give the teams and drivers the information as soon as possible that they know in which lobby, because lobbies will change stint by stint. So after stint 1, overall P1, 3 and 5 are going, and we're about to start. Let's go on board on the rolling start with Johnny to have the perfect view to the hypercar class in front and also to the back in the following cars. I think the sprint should be quick enough to don't get close to the hypercars. For the first
turn 1 is not much of a run, and turn 1 there is not that much difference really between a GT and a hypercar into turn 1s and 2, but yeah, it should be fine.
First overtake attempt here.
We can see already some movement happen.
The CPTL car against Uri in the Spider GT car. Mighty Joe should be eaten very quick here. Yeah, Widow is already going for the move.
Yeah, he's not waiting. He's on a rush. He wants to be up front. He wants to make up for that time lost with the grid ban. Obviously, starting at the back, you by default, start behind the leader, and it can be fairly difficult to actually reduce that gap if you want to actually go for a race win. But again, it's a 12 hours race. It's a very long time ahead, and everyone will have to be really consistent and really calm as well.
It looks that we had some little starting bug, because the gaps from P1 and 2 are really big, or they just had a really brilliant first couple of turns.
Yeah, those guys are really fast, and so if you leave them free air ahead, they will pull a gap. It happened also in practice in almost all the sessions. Like the guy ahead, he will just pull away. If he's one of the fast guys, he can just pull away. So yeah.
GT class is a lot closer. Johnny in the lead, half a second ahead of Squishy Dealer in the WSR Lamborghini, followed by Mr. Krabs in the WSR Porsche. Banana Josh went a bit wide, gap of 2.5 seconds. And then Siroku Haku on P13. P14 is missing the GTEC car. Yeah, Tick is closing in, so the gap is down to 1.3. Yeah, Rotec has a lot better acceleration out of the tight corners. In the flowing stuff it seems that Tick is gaining a bit, but these two seem to be currently the fastest in the lobby, but we have to wait till Widow and also Yira Rex, who were really quick in the free practice, made their way.
Obviously through the start of the race they will have some cars ahead, and you can never really exploit the pace of a car fully. We can see Widow close.
Yeah.
He's going for it. He doesn't want to wait.
A shock moment because I had a little shown lag, but it wasn't. Where Widow went in the gravel, but obviously he didn't. He made the move around the outside completed.
And we see Jirai Rakes is already made up a few spots. He's really behind Scuderia Pontera, Brumadinho, but yeah, it's gonna be close. Yeah, really bunch up the field in the back for the LMH cars. And it seems that the GT cars are keeping also fairly close distances. It looks like no one is really pulling ahead much.
Oh, the top two, Johnny and Squishy, seems to be on a similar pace.
Yeah, but Squishy will probably want to just stay behind and just hold in there, let him lead, really. Probably the same as Tick will want to do in here, although Tick seems to have a bit more trouble keeping up with Rotec, but yeah, that would be really the safest or the smartest thing to do. Just stick behind. Don't try to go for a move. Just sit behind them and just run the stint.
And especially in the hypercar, dirty air is really annoying on this track.
Yeah, you would want to leave a bit of a gap. Yeah, you don't really want to be right behind them. This track, it requires a lot of aerodynamic force as well. There is really fast corners where you need to utilize all that aero down if you want to be fast and keep the lap time down. So yeah, you do need that clean air ahead of you.
No Slim. Unfortunately, you can't see it obviously in the spectate, but there's a time running in the bottom left corner, so my math should be good enough. Calculate. Look like a little lag here from Widow. Yeah, he didn't lost any time. So yeah, polyphony lobbies still not perfect.
Yeah.
We had a bit of hope since they shut down the GTS servers, but my impression is that it got even worse.
But yeah, let's pray for no interruptions and no technical issues on that side, because it's always a bit annoying when
in the GT series. It was not polyphony, to be fair. It was Dutch internet company, but I think that there's nothing more annoying for a driver to get a disconnect in a race. I mean, disconnecting is always really annoying, but if you're driving a solo race for yourself, you are probably more fine with it. If you probably ruin the race for the whole team, and without being the guy who did the mistake. Yeah, Tick now. Just gap stays really consistent with this.
Yeah, it's
really depends on the part of the track.
Yeah, it does a bit of a rubber banding effect. It does close up and open up a little bit through the lap, but it seems to be stable around that second and a half. And then again, it seems that WSR Milano behind is just keeping and that sort of losing a little bit, maybe perhaps every lap, but not much. It's still keeping Tick on view.
So Euro Rex, so maybe his practice lobby time was shown a bit bugged because he's consistently doing 42s.
Yes, he is.
Now he's in the 41s.
Yes, he is running on the 42s now. It seems that he has have clean air for a couple of laps now at least. Now he's gone down to the 41s. We should also always take those lap times with a pinch of salt, given that the polyphony digital lobbies are again not the best in that sense. when there is a lot of cars on the lobby, those lap times can get skewed a little bit sometimes, so those numbers might not reflect truly what the actual driver or what the car is doing. But yeah, it seems that GRI is not really closing up the gap to ESP Brumadinho up ahead. It seems that it's around the 3-4 second mark now, increasing a little bit more. So yeah, perhaps that time on the lobby, the practice lobby, was a little bit bugged. Maybe we can see Brumadinho now, it appears to be on the mid 40s.
And Gira doesn't seem to be much more fuel efficient or than Brumadinho, for example. So
it might have been also that he was just running on a really low tank, and maybe had a really good lap, and so he just went really fast time. But yeah, it's another story when you have your tank, like in this case full or half tank for the start. Then we will see the drivers fill up with more fuel to carry on for the next stint. So that's when you really want to put your practice on. That's when you really want to have your pace really nailed down. When you have the car full of fuel and you know you're gonna have to go for a long amount of laps, and you just want to keep the lap times down in there. It's all and good when you can go out and do a really fast lap, an empty tank, but you also need to be fast on race pace.
Yeah, definitely. So Widow sitting on the fastest lap, 38.8 at the moment. Seems also to be a bit more realistic time than a 38 flat.
Yeah.
But maybe Gira will surprise us on a one stop.
He perhaps is just saving a little bit extra. And now in the beginning he was to attack at the end of the stint. Yeah, there is a bit of a strategy in that sense allowed for the drivers, and I'm sure they will have sort of an idea of what they want to do in the strategy within their team, and they will know what is their best way of getting there. Yeah.
I mean, he is a bit more fuel efficient than the guys around him, like Brumadinho and Mighty Joe, but tire efficiency is, for example, better on Brumadinho's car, and I think tires are the bigger factor when it comes to a one-stop than fuel. Yeah, the fuel it seems to it lasts for a long time. You have you can cover a long length of your stint, of your lobby stint with the fuel, but the tires are critical. Again, this track has really fast corners, really corners that put a lot of strain on the tires. So yeah, that you want to be fast, but you don't want to ruin your tires. So it requires a really fine balance in that. So we have a battle upcoming, I think. We have to see how Widow is managing the dirty air of Milano.
Yeah, and we can see how that fastest lap time and is more representative, let's say, because we can see how Widow is just closing the gaps ahead of him really fast. Since the start of the race, he's going for it really. Yeah, he's on it.
So, and that's the car that received the qualifying ban, but they were absolutely fast in there. There's one guy, and I don't know if Potato is in the chat. I raced him back in the days, a long time ago. My impression, if I remember right, is that he might be a little bit slower than his both teammates, but he can prove me wrong, and it is almost 1.5 years ago.
Yeah, and yeah, that is always people. You can always find improvement over time. Like I find that myself really, like over the last year and a half, I have really improved my lifetimes, because you practice more and you get more accustomed to racing and what you should be doing, and you do improve. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see.
Get close for another 4/10, and now he's really close. And they're closing in to the GS3 car, so it makes it even more interesting.
Yeah. When you have lapped cars ahead of you, you have a car in your class that is ahead or behind you, it gets really tricky. Yeah, it can get really stressing as well, because you have to watch for him, but you also have to watch for the other cars, where they're gonna be, where you're gonna be, it can get really stressful. You have like thousandths of a second to make those decisions most of the times, and if you're not really prepared, like it can cause a lot of trouble.
Battle for the lead. Oh, and WSR Tick gained the lead. Very, very unlucky track position. For Rotec
that's
at the moment.
Yeah, that's racing. Like if you get the lapped car in that specific part of a track where you have to just slow down a little bit, and then your rival behind just doesn't, then it's just gonna be an easy pass. You know, the lapped cars really make a big difference sometimes. But then again, like we always say, it always balances out, because
definitely
it will eventually happen to Tick, and Protec will recover that same second, or maybe even more. Like it always ends up balancing out. That's something that I've realized. Yeah.
You see, I mean, Rotec was about 1.5 seconds consistently ahead. Now Tick is 1.5 seconds ahead in one lap. He lost, I think, on 2 lappings.
Yep, and Milano and Guido are right behind them right now. Like there is basically no time between second and third now. So we effectively have the podium in within 3 seconds, the first 4 in within less than 5 seconds. So yeah, it is shaping up to be a really, really fun race at the head, at least at the front on the LMH field.
I mean, we're only about 50 minutes or 40 minutes in the stint, but having the top 4 cars in 4 seconds is a good sign.
Yeah, then there seems to be then that split. We can see how Brumadinho at the moment now is losing time slowly but continuously to the cars ahead. So it's just on that no man's land, they say. Big gap ahead, big gap behind. It's a difficult place to be, really. Yeah, it's where you don't really have your references from other cars, so you have to be really focused and keep your lines up. Ooh, as we see, he has a moment. Yeah, it is difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, and it is hard to stay focused when you are on track. Actually, just race the clock, because the opponents are a bit ahead or a bit behind.
Yeah, it's always hard to determine what they are doing. All you have is your gap ahead and your gap behind. Perhaps, obviously, if you have your as I know Brumadinho has, obviously, as his teammate, I know he has a spotter on the radio, you know, like guiding him through the race, what is happening here and there. So you always get that bit of extra information, but still, when you don't have cars around, you have to just know what you're doing and trust your pace and just stick to it. But I know he's really a very experienced endurance driver, and he really excels at that. He's really consistent. Like, he might not be the fastest guy in the lobby, but I can guarantee you he's most likely the most consistent. We can see now Squeezy.
Yeah, really close to.
Is trying to put pressure on Johnny. Perhaps he thinks he can actually pull a gap. You know, if he can get ahead of him, and that's why he's trying to go for a move. Otherwise, I don't think it would be very clever to stay so close to the car ahead. Because even though GT cars don't have that much downforce, to rely on, their TR still plays a part. So yeah, it can be tricky sometimes to control it on the fast corners, and again, you can make a little mistake and be on the wall in no time.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, it's always better to just leave that little gap. Yeah.
Tick now is 3.5 seconds ahead of Rotec.
Yeah,
so since the surprise overtake after lapping the GR3 class, he really pulled away.
Yeah, perhaps again they always. It's always something, when something like that happens on the race, you always get that little bit of perhaps a bit of a shock, like it kind of catches you up a little bit maybe, and then you just think, okay, I'm just gonna keep the pace now steady. If he wants to pull away, let him pull away. I'll come back to him again later. And it can change your mood through the race when those things happen. Really, you can get really frustrated as well sometimes with the lap cars. You know, when you see that it doesn't benefit you, but it benefits other cars, that can be really frustrating. You know, and when you see that you lose time and you lose a position and you start losing time, you start getting more frustrated and you start losing more time, and it can get very, very difficult. Yeah.
So Widow with
you
the
can
tag
see Widow is
now.
He's gonna try it on the outside. He's gonna
We made it on the
it's gonna
straight,
be
so.
it's gonna be ahead already by the time they get to the braking zone. It's another spot for Widow. He's happened to the podium positions, up into third, and I think he's gonna take up the battle to protect really, really quick. Again, as Widow gets some free air ahead of him, he can be fast, as we can see by the fastest lap time on the lobby.
GM3 class, Johnny has now a little bit more room to breathe. But as you see now,
it seems
just in
perhaps
one corner with the lapping, he lost half a second.
Perhaps that just had that little bit of a moment with a lap car, or a little mistake in one corner, and Squeezy just kind of inched ahead, closer a little bit. But it seems that Johnny now is just going back to that sort of second and a half gap. Squeezy just hanging on in there, and then we can see there's a fairly big gap to the car behind. 5 seconds to Mr. Krabs.
Yeah, so the top two, they are on pretty similar pace. The Squishy dealer has, but it can be the lapping, a bit more gap between his slowest and fastest lap. Johnny must be the lapping, because both did 54s while they're usually doing consistent 53s. Let's see if Widow is closing into Rotek. Yes, gap is slowly closing.
Tick seems to be opening that gap a little bit every lap. It seems that Rotek is just staying on his pace, not trying to force anything, trying to push too hard. He probably can see that Widow is inching closer, and it's gonna get to him in probably soon. But he's doing a strong race. I think he's just keeping it nice and clear, you know. And again, if the car, you can see the car is faster behind you. Once he gets to you, there is no point, you know, in battling really, because you know he's just gonna do it.
Yeah, and it's 12 hours.
If he manages to close that gap, you know he's faster than you. So it's just easy to let him pass without losing time and sticking behind him. When you try to battle is when you're gonna start losing time ahead and behind. So we will see what he decides.
This is P8 at the moment. It's 6.5 seconds to P7. Let's stay on Widow and the battle with Rotek. And tires might be a factor for Rotek, because Tick has slightly better tires and Widow has much better tires. I think Widow is currently the best on tires in this lobby.
It looks like it. Yep, he's nursing those tires. He seems to have a smooth driving. Like,
can we see what happened? Can't see you cross the yellow flags. Gap's looking normal. Maybe Mr. Krabs, Mr. Krabs might have been a bit wide. And no, it was Tick. Tick is down.
It was Tick. Yes, it was Tick.
Damage on the car.
Front splitter damage. He might want to. It's not probably advisable to drive with the front splitter. Like there's some fast sections in here. I don't know if he's gonna be losing too much time. If he has a moment, I don't know. He might have to pit. But then it's not really time to pit.
we're gonna have an eye on his lap times because.
Yeah, it seemed that he could be consistent. He was consistently doing 39s before, so it would be good to see what lap times he can manage now with that front split the damage. But he's definitely lost the lead, and he's from 5.7 seconds behind the leader now.
Yeah,
and now all of a sudden Widow has the lead of the race ahead of him within a second, starting from the back all the way to the front. He really is on a mission. He really is a man on a mission today. .4. He will not ride on this section. He will. I wouldn't think he will try on the last corner either. He will probably just get close as he can through the last corner, and then yes, use the slipstream through the main straight. Yeah, main straight is quite a short one on this track, so you don't have that much time to make your move. Yeah, we can see it's right. It's just not enough to just get ahead of him, at least alongside, and force a bit of move. He just decides to stay right behind, stay close to him through this twisty section in the first sector. Now we're gonna get down to the downhill. Now it's gonna have a little bit of. Nah, I don't think he's gonna have enough now.
If he can stay really close to him through the tricky S section, he might have a chance on the longer straight down to the hairpin.
Yep, I think that's what he's planning to do. I think
that's where Rotek's car is insane quick.
Yeah, because he knows he really wants to be on the lead. He knows that he can pull a gap, but again, he doesn't want to risk having any sort of contact or any sort of incident trying to make that overtake. And the gap, even though the differences in lap time seem fairly big, we can see that there is not that much difference that he has on terms of racing line. We can see that Rotek is covering all the spots fairly nicely, placing the car right where he needs to, and just Widow cannot find a way.
Rotek can defend it.
It is a smart move from Rotek, because he knows that as soon as Widow is ahead, he will just pull a gap. So it is in that sense, if you're ahead, like, yeah, it makes sense. Oh no, he's done it. You can see out of the last corner through the start finish line, Widow takes the lead, goes from back to the grid to front of the grid, and now we will see what he can actually do with. We know he's fast, as we can see from the fast lap time.
Definitely.
The fastest lap is on his name, 38.884. We will see if Rotek has enough to stay with him.
But it's already a second.
And yes, if I'm correct, we think Tick has pitted.
Yeah,
it doesn't. Yeah, it's on 8 at the moment.
Right at the moment, P7. Overtook Skidded Striker.
Yeah, he's gone into the pit, fill up his tank to the halfway, put a new set of fresh rubber, and then on track again, try to recover that bit of time that he's lost.
In the GTs, Squishy and Johnny still equal pace, both separated by a second.
Yeah, still keeping that second.
Krabs also found back his pace after his little moment in lap 6, lap 7.
Yeah, running again in a bit of no man's land, with a bit of a gap ahead, a bit of a gap behind. Again, always difficult to keep your pace and stay focused. We have Vanajos. It's right behind 6 seconds, around 6 seconds behind Mr. Krabs, and Mr. Krabs around 6 seconds behind the Squeezy. Squeezy car now getting closer to Johnny. Again, it might be just due to the slow cars, to the hypercars lapping. It might be he has had a little moment. And again, or again, it might be just the natural flow through the lap time for both cars. They're fairly different cars, so they will, even though they achieve a fairly similar lap time. Ooh, as we see a moment, the Widow is not wanting to wait. It's forcing his way through.
This is usually not how
we
you
see
do
now
the
Brodek
lapping
has
of
to
the
do
hypercar.
it through the end. It's always a difficult situation when you have lapped cars through that fast section. It's just pretty much impossible to not lose time. If you catch the lapped car through that section, you're gonna lose time, and it can be again really frustrating. Now we can see how Milani just makes it, but yeah, lap cars through again. Similar gap stayed between Johnny and Squeezy. Ahead we have Widow and Rotek still 1 second and a half behind.
Both were involved
Now
in lapping.
Yeah, Milano seems that wants to join the party as well.
Yeah, definitely.
He thinks, okay, if Widow is not pulling away, then I'm just try to go for it as well.
But he's definitely the worst on tires of the three.
Yep.
Well, we might see the GT class in the pits quite soon. Squishy Dealer a bit more efficient than Johnny.
We'll be approaching now the pit stops fairly soon, at least for the GT cars. We can see how most of them are already on their fuel indicators, with the fuel indicators flashing on their cars saying you're gonna need to pit soon, not many laps left to run.
Just Krebs is really fuel efficient.
He seems to be
Tires look brilliant.
yeah. It's always a combination of how the car uses the tires and how the driver manages to drive the car. Basically, it can be, there can be really big differences between one car or the other, and between one driver and the other. Like some drivers are really hard and really asking a lot from their tires, and then there's other drivers that are really smooth and can keep the time slow, but without just asking not so much from the tires, and that in the end overlaps. When you have after 20 laps, you can see how the differences start appearing.
And now when they have clean air, Widow is pulling away half a second quicker than Rotec in lap 18. 2 seconds is to get now. Also Milano.
Yeah, by now the tires, they will already feel how they're not as grippy as they used to be. They don't have as much as they had at the beginning of the race. But they still within a window they can still keep fairly reasonable lap times. And then it's just a matter of how much longer you can keep them. I would think it will be probably around lap 25, 28, perhaps 30 if someone can stretch it a little bit more on their tires for the hypercars to make their first stop. You can see on board now with Squeezy on the Lamborghini GT3, still keeping that second with Johnny ahead.
How equal these two guys are on pace.
It is crazy. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get to the end of the 12-hour race and they're still on the same position, Johnny ahead and within a second Squeezy behind. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I know they're really good drivers, and they're really consistent. They're gonna be like that at it for the whole race. I'm sure it's gonna be really fun to watch. Because again, it's gonna come to who's gonna make the least mistakes, and in this case, it's not just between two drivers on two cars; it's between 6 drivers and 2 cars. The accumulative of mistakes between all of those between the 3 drivers for the team is what is going to decide who wins this race.
Squishy
yeah, as we can see.
Of the GT class.
Now it will be interesting to see what Squishy decides to do. He doesn't have much choice because he doesn't have much more fuel left, so he's gonna need to go in probably in the next lap or 2.
But Krebs is definitely really interesting. He was just 6, maybe 7 seconds behind the 2 leading cars. He still has about 4, maybe 5 laps left in the car and fuel.
And he's keeping those tires. The Porsche is not really known for keeping his tires really well, but he's managing to keep them pretty good. As we can see now, Guido is open up a little bit more of a gap with Rotek on second.
Also Rotek is disappearing from Milano, so
yeah, things are starting to stretch a little bit.
Again.
Yeah, now the tires are. They're starting to feel really like they just don't want to grip. You know, as soon as you get to the 40, 30%, 25, 20%, those areas, that's just where they just decide, hey, I can't go for much longer. And it becomes really difficult to keep the lap times down. That's why, again, the highest quality drivers will also be able to always keep those times lower, purely because, you know, smoother driving and a bit more of, you know, speed through the corners.
Again, and he spun. Number 1 car is around again. Final corner, damage, and a lot of movement.
A lot of damage, a lot of burning rubber. He's right on the middle of the road. Oof, more damage. That's not a good start for
definitely not the best car for the title defender.
What a shame.
That's definitely an extra pit stop for Tick, because it is
he's gonna
since he pitted.
He will need to go straight on the pit fix. It's gonna be a fair amount of damage that will need to be repaired, so he's gonna lose a little bit more time on the pit in there as well.
It seems that there's technical difficulties, as Eifelblitz, Tick's teammate, telling us in the chat that he has pedal issues. And that's what it really looked like.
Ooh.
And that's
close.
1 hour 25 is a long time to go with technical issues.
Yeah. Looks like Guido has gone into the pits.
Yeah.
First stopper other than the damage card on Hyper. He's put a new Fresel.
Really early, as he was the best on tires, but CPTL definitely has a plan, so...
perhaps once you pit, it's not that worth. At least on this game, I don't think that double stint in your tires. Perhaps it could be done, but
also going to the pits, front end damage.
It looks like he's got a split damage. He wasn't really too far away from his speed stop, so it probably wouldn't want to affect him that much. Should be fairly short distance, fairly short stop in terms of repairs for him.
Guido came back on track on P4. Has now the fresh compound. A lot of clean air as to get to Brumadinho is 20 seconds. Looks like the perfect window to pit. Rotek meanwhile 4.5 seconds out of Milano. And Milano's tires are really worn now, front right. Let's see how everything is sorted after most of the GT cars pitted. Krebs still on track, still few left. Tires are looking brilliant.
Yeah,
So,
he's keeping the tires alive on that Porsche, and he's putting himself up there for. Well, obviously he's on the podium already, but he will try to go for them. He was about some 6 seconds, I believe,
yeah,
behind Johnny and Squishy. He will try to overcut that now
I
with
think
the
he's
strategy.
more going for one pit stop less than the rest. I'm pretty sure he's trying to
That's his aim. Yeah, it
undercut
is.
them by pit stop. I think the gap will be increased as Johnny and Squishy will now have fresh tires. So maybe the gap will increase to 9 or 10 seconds maybe. But in the end, having a pit stop less and also
It will be,
less refueling,
yeah.
big advantage and hard to beat. It's like the Confi way. I think we will see
Yeah.
it several times from Confi.
Yeah, I remember last year's Daytona race. When we started the race, we decided we were gonna do one strategy, but then fairly quickly we realized that we were gonna go one pit stop more than everybody else, because everybody else was doing exactly that. So we thought, yeah, we have to do that as well. We had to quickly react and quickly change our strategy through the race, because otherwise we knew we were gonna be done on the strategy fairly easy.
Yeah, we had it.
And our car, it's always tricky with the situation, with the strategy. Yeah.
In the Le Mans GT class, when we just realized way too late that the Ferrari from RRC is doing a pit stop less, because the first stint we won, even if Confi did a pit stop less. But only Iggy was able to counter it, and the other guys were not able and lost consistent. And
We lost enough. Yeah.
I think we realized it in stint 4 and found the counter, but it was a bit too late. So Mighty Joe and Skillet Striker now in the pits, in the hypercars. After Widow the first hypercars with a regular pit stop, and you saw Tick twice in the pits. Let's see, penalty again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we can see Widow now closing the gap. It's closing ahead with Brumadinho ahead now. Tick is gonna recover those positions. It seems that Tick has got a penalty. He might be trying to push too hard now after having the accident and losing time. He probably is quite upset, and he's pushing like crazy. Probably
have issues with the equipment. So we definitely have an eye on the car. So it is on Eiffel Blitz, and Vulcan, I think, is the third driver on the car to recover from that non-optimal first stint.
But
Rotek
yeah,
and
they
Lago
have
in the pits.
they have fast drivers, and I'm sure they can recover the car back.
Congratulations, this is leading kilometers for your car. At least for the moment, till Brumadinho comes in the pits.
It's always good to get some airtime on top as well. And it is Scuderia Pantera, Brumadinho, and in first now 16 seconds. We can see Widow behind is closing that gap fairly quickly. He knows he's on the lead. He knows he's got the overall lead of the race. Fresher tires, is clean air. It is looking good for Widow. Rotek is probably just staying with him. I don't think it trying this much. It's opened up a little bit more, like 3 seconds. It was roughly the same, I believe, before the stop. It stretched up a little bit. The differences between the first 3-4 cars and hyper class before the stop. When the tires get worn, it's always harder to keep the lap times consistent. You can see Mr. Krabs is still going.
Now he's in the pits, and let's see where he comes out. Let's go to Johnny. I think Johnny gained about 2-3 seconds on the fresh tires. Maybe Mr. Krabs with shorter refueling, but I think he will refuel even more. So Johnny should take back the lead. Also Johnny, let's see. Refueled a bit less than Squishy, but the pit stop was definitely better from Johnny. 3 seconds now the gap. While we had till the first pit stop consistently 1 second between those two.
Yeah, perhaps Johnny was able to just edge that extra second through the stop. Put a bit more land in between him and Squeezy behind. Mr. Krabs getting out of the pits, and he's getting out of the pits right behind the Squeezy. So yeah, he's.
Yeah, and this is definitely not doing one stop less. We definitely have to pit again. So same strategy.
Yeah.
For everyone.
But he's managed to basically undercut that at least the deficit he had with Squishy.
Definitely. Also
he was around 6 seconds, I believe, or something like that, 5-6 seconds behind the Squishy before the stops. He's managed to stretch that, overcut them, and yeah, he's really put himself up into chasing the second.
Yeah, and if you can do that on the second stop, gain another 6 seconds. He's currently 3 seconds behind. So yeah, for the GTs in this class, I'm expecting a pretty close finish. Don't want to jinx it because we saw on tick.
Yeah, it's shaping up. Yeah, it's shaping up to be a really interesting race at the front for the GT field. Yeah. So we can still tick going wide. Brumadinho now on the pit. With no fuel left.
Let's hope that he didn't run out of fuel.
Milano takes third. Let's see, it's got he had a fairly big gap. I will see if Brumadinho can keep that fourth position and come out of the pits ahead of Tick.
Yeah, I think so.
Tick had already pitted once, so it seems that he's gonna be able to. Tick now in fifth, trying to recover that time lost.
I mean, you see how good Tick's general pace is. I mean, he was leading when he crashed, but lap times are back in the 39s, in the low 39s.
Yeah.
So hopefully everything is fixed for him, and he can gain back the position. Only 9 seconds to Brumadinho after the pit stop, and you see how quick he is, as he already pitted twice and is still back on P5 ahead of Yirai, Mighty Joe and Skillet Striker. So he already gained in 45 minutes a pit stop on 3 other cars. It's quite impressive. But yeah, the gap to the leaders is 50 seconds. Oh,
yeah, he will have it. Yeah, he will have it difficult to recover.
Banana Josh.
It will be difficult for him to get back to the fighting for the lead. But again, we never know what's gonna happen. You know, Widow seems to be in control now, but so anything can change in any second.
Rotec is currently gaining on Widow. That's interesting to see. Not much, but not much. Half a second in the last lap. 4/10 in the lap before. So yeah, Rotec seems to be absolutely fast on the fresh compound. It seems that he starts struggling with more and more used tires. And we saw it in the first stint with Tick when he started losing time when the tires dropped.
Yep. Yeah, that's definitely. It's always. I always think that that's where you see really the true quality of drivers. You know, when the tires start going off and you don't have as much grip as you had on new set. You know, that's when you actually see who is able to keep fast times and who isn't. I've seen that even within my own teammates, seeing like how at the same level of tire wear you cannot really keep the same lap times, and you think, oh yeah, that's probably why. There is that slight difference, you know.
So lapping the two WRS cars, not much resistance to expect there.
Yeah, it seems that it seems that Squeezy was able to just stay a little bit ahead, but Mr. Krabs is keeping the distance. Let's see, Brumadinho.
While we were saying that Widow is losing time, he set the fastest lap and gained over a second on Rotec. So
he probably is listening to us and he thought, okay guys, you think I'm going too slow? Fine. I shall just turn the dial down a little bit more. And that's how we like it. Thank you, Widow. Just keep going faster, please. Why not? The faster we can go, the better.
So in the midfield of the hypercar class, everything is a bit sorted. Gaps are around 5 seconds or more. Johnny and Squishy stay on the same pace. This time with a gap of 3 seconds.
Mr. Krabs is still keeping Squishy on his view. That's probably all he wants to do. He doesn't need to push, he doesn't need to be right behind him. He knows this, he's got advantage on the pits now. We'll see how the strategy develops for them. Yeah, now Widow pulling up a little bit more again, up to 4.60 gap.
And I can tell you, it is so good to watch the hypercar races without having an eye on the battery. I mean, the last 3 races we did were Monza, Daytona and Le Mans, where the hypercars ran out of battery around half of the stint because everything is really high top speed. On this track with a lot of braking, hybrid is not an issue.
Yeah, I see. It is the first time for us in Scuderia Montreal driving the hypercar, so yeah,
it is
something
super
to watch
annoying
for,
as a driver when you do a good lap and still being 2 seconds off your usual pace because you're on a no hybrid lap.
Yeah, that extra boost, that extra those kilowatts extra for power that make a difference.
But everyone has Euro Rex, not Euro Rex. Might become a hybrid problem soon. The rest are still around 50%. Also skilled racers using a lot of hybrid. So yeah, I'm pretty sure the practice lobby lap time was bugged because ERX is nowhere close to the 38s.
Yep, his fastest are high 40. Yeah, I mean, if I'm honest, I was surprised when I saw that lap time because I believe Spider GT put his rookies basically on the hypercar to get him kilometers, on that class. And so yeah, I was quite surprised when I saw that time, and I thought, well, then that's really not a rookie time for sure. Or if you have those rookies, then I don't know what your special drivers are,
Tick is closing the gap to Brumadinho.
Yeah,
it
we
looks
can
like
see now.
His issues with the pedal are sorted. He's back in the low 39s, really consistent now, currently on PB split time. So the car with the number 1 is back in business.
Definitely champions are back on track.
Yeah,
when I recover that time. It's really annoying when you have those sort of problems that you can't do anything, and it's just right on that, the worst moment possible that happens. I bet you he's done probably countless of practice hours through this last week, and most probably can bet that it hasn't happened to him.
Not just last week. I definitely can tell because I almost have the entire WSR squad on my friend list. Every time when I open Gran Turismo and open lobby and go on friends only, WSR has a lobby open
Yeah.
since about 1.5 months. They're really taking the mission title defense serious, and yeah, it is really important because Tick is back on pace, and so it is 50 seconds at the moment, but still it's 12 hours. It's a long race, but it would be more annoying. Oh, Josh with a bit of a moment here in the background. It would be super annoying if you have to run more than an hour with technical issues using second by second every lap. But now he's back on pace with the leaders.
Yeah, he's back on track. It seems that now Roderick is close up a little bit of that gap to Guido. Perhaps Guido's made a little mistake here there. Milan is just keeping that distance the same.
Car. And this is now the things we gonna see usually, because also the GR3 grid is splitted a lot. Yet you will have one lap where you have problems with lapping a car. Now he's running up to Mr. Krabs. It shouldn't be a problem.
He will be able to do it right through.
Staying out of the way.
On the straight.
This is what I really have to say, because I mean we fought for wins with WSR on Le Mans and Daytona. It was never a strategic move from them to kind of block or distract the hypercars with the smaller class.
With their GTs,
The GT drivers are always really aware of what's happening behind them.
That's really the way everyone should do it. That's really like it is really difficult when you're a GT driver sometimes, because you get those cars approaching you at like really high speeds, coming out of a corner or getting into a corner, and sometimes again you have really pretty small times to react, and it's definitely difficult to be aware at all times.
Brumadinho on P4 will quite soon get some competition on his back with Tick, who's a bit wide here.
Yeah, it's getting closer. Seems that Tick that it's got that edge. It's just that bit faster per lap.
So in the GT class, Johnny 3.5 seconds, slightly increased the gap. But still equal level. I mean, we have the top 3 cars. We are almost an hour in the race. Top 3 cars are in 5 seconds.
Yeah, very consistent lap times we can see from all of them. You can see how the top drivers keeping their pace at the maximum without making any mistakes. And we can see how those gaps are really small, even after almost an hour of racing.
The top 3 will also affect the race for the hypercars, because if you run up to this, they are not bunched up to a group, but you don't want to lose any time, so you're not probably not moving from the racing line when the hypercar is approaching.
It's not the same when you are one car and a hyper approaches, and when you're 3 cars. Of course, you're like the last one, until you see the last one move, you don't move. And if you're the last one, you want to move at the very latest possible, because you know that they're not gonna do anything until you do, and you're gonna lose time to them. You're always gonna be on the disadvantage when you're the last car, the car behind, the first one being lapped, because you're the first one that has to give way. And it's the same, but reversed for the hypercars. The hypercar gets to one car, it's easy to pass, easy to judge where can I pass one car. But if you get to 3 cars within 3 seconds, it's like, well, where can I pass these cars? I cannot really just pass them on one corner. I have to do it on like 2 or 3 corners, and I have to think really carefully where they're gonna be and where am I going to be. And it can get really, really difficult when you get to a group of cars.
Seems that Rotek, I saw one thing, was a bit unlucky with lapping in the last 2 laps. Did medium to high 40s. Now he's back on PP time. I saw you run up to one of the GT cars in Sector 1, Turn 1 and 2, and it's impossible to pass.
Yep.
And then you were losing a lot of time, so Widow gap is now 5.7, 5.6 at the moment.
Yeah, it's part of those little intricacies of the WEC championship. You know, you have two fairly different classes of cars running on the same track. 13 cars altogether running, and yeah, it's always going to be at random. It's very difficult to predict where you're going to be able to lap a car or where you're going to get close to it. It's always tricky. Because you know, Dick is just closed up.
Close to
You can see Brumadinho. He wants to recover that position. He's gonna try to do it as quickly as possible.
It will be tough for Brumadinho to defend against Tick.
Yep. He would have probably seen how that gap has been decreasing lap after lap. So yeah, but he will know by now the driver behind is faster.
And probably Tick don't want to waste any more time.
No, and to be honest, I think Brumadinho won't be a thorn on Tick's side. I don't think he will put much of a fight. I don't think he's obviously gonna keep the spot away, but yeah, I don't think he would put up much of a fight because, like we say, it's clear that Tick is faster, and it won't take him longer. If it's not sooner, it will be later, but it will get past.
I'm gonna see we stay on this duel.
Getting closer on the under braking, we can see how the gap closes a little bit under braking, then stretches a little bit, and the acceleration on the corner exit. You can see now through these fast corners he's getting closer as well. He's gonna try to be as close as he can, coming into the last corner.
I think there's a Lamborghini ahead of them. Oh yes.
Yeah, there will be GT cars being lapped. It might play a part. Brumadinho, I think he didn't have the best of entries in there with the lapped car. Yeah, I think he's gonna try it in the inside. He doesn't want to have any more to do. Brumadinho keeps the outside, gives him the inside for the next corner. Brumadinho still ahead. Tick tries to go on the outside. Brumadinho goes across. He still keeps the position. Really nice battle with having. And Tick tries to go around the outside. There's no space in there. Brumadinho moves to the inside. Tick tries to go on the outside.
But now I think Tick made the.
Yes, he's gonna do the switch all classic, and he's gonna be very close, but he's got ahead of Brumadinho. Tick now up to fourth. Really nice battle we've seen from these guys now.
Squishy didn't know he was in the pits, so just was surprised that after Tick and Brumadinho passed Krebs that there was no sign of Squishy Dealer, but he pitted.
Just well spotted. I didn't notice that. Even though it's fairly easy to spot these WSR cars, really in beautiful blue and grey livery they're running. It's one of my favorites, if I must say.
Just not sure if that was a planned stop from Squishy Dealer, because maybe the WSR guys in the chat can give me a little hint.
Perhaps they have made a little change of a strategy, but no, I don't think it might have been planned.
Sense. They had the same fuel like Johnny, and Johnny is still on 25%. And
yeah, I think something may have happened in there. Yeah.
Maybe in lap 30 we have a point, yeah, must be. It's not the in-lap. The in-lap was a 2:26. Now we're on the out-lap,
Yep.
so must have been an incident.
I mean, and we can see it, his front, it's the livery. It looked like he had some perhaps visible damage on the front of the car. Yeah, front right, we can see there's some damage.
Yeah, there's some
So-
scratches.
So there is some scraps on the car. Yeah, that's definitely not the livery. I don't think.
We have nothing
Not
on
sure.
the rear because I mean, we saw when Brumadinho ran up to him, gave a little bump, but what I saw, it was not enough to really damage a car. But also, Crew is now in the pits, no damage, also really early, with a lot of fuel left. I'm not that familiar to Maggiore, but is it
No,
possible?
but that's-
Is
yeah,
it
I
possible that you
wouldn't-
just run wide, lose the rear a bit, and then accidentally enter the pits?
Could be. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen that happening, but it is possible. I mean, you will have to be really unlucky, but yeah, it could be possible.
So meanwhile, we have Widow still in the lead, but Rotec closed down the gap massively. So it seems that Widow was this time more on the unlucky side of the lappings.
Yeah, like we said in the beginning, like
quite well.
those things, they always tend to balance out. We see Rex
Slim
now
is asking
pits.
what happened to Squishy. We honestly can't tell. He pitted for a second time. Looks like an unplanned pit stop. We have in lap 30 a 155.2. We haven't seen a damaged car, but it is definitely off strategy. So there must have been an incident and with him and another car, or maybe he just lost the car. But yeah, hopefully one of the WSR guys in the chat can confirm what happened to Squishy, because he was on a really solid pace. And P2 in this lobby. Now it is taken by Mr.
Yeah, it seems
teammate.
it seems that now Johnny is been able to put that little bit of time between him and Krabs every lap. Now it's come up down. It's come down a little bit, but yeah, it's about the same. It was before they pitted about 5-6 seconds. The difference. But again, we know Mr. Krabs is gonna be able to go longer.
So we have WSR Cav. Lap 31 was the in lap. I think the or it was lap 30. I don't know if the lap time stops before you park in the pits or after it, where the finish line is. But for us, on screen was shown that lap 32 was his out lap. So 31 should be the lap with the pit stop, and then... I mean, lap 30 is 2 seconds off his pace, or 1.5.
Yeah, there must have been something happening on that lap. Must have had a little moment, perhaps tapped the wall somewhere. Perhaps it was coming out of that last corner. It is what has happened to me before. It's coming out of the last corner. You span, perhaps hit the barrier, and you're just next to the box, so you just go and pit.
What's
'Cause it's just there.
confusing me a bit is because they look pretty well on tires on the first stint with 50% fuel, is that he refueled that short. Because if it was an unplanned pit stop, why he just didn't... Because now I think he has to do an extra pit stop. I don't think he will do an hour with this fuel and tires.
No, I don't think, no.
So for me the question is why not trying to make the rest
To make it on one, yeah. Since you have to pit, try to just gain that, not to have that extra pit stop, yeah, right. we'll probably get more information after the stint from the driver itself, and as to what, perhaps we can get some information from the team. It would be good to know what's happening there, because it's very likely that he will have to do one more stop.
So Tick now back on pace with the leaders.
Yep. Yeah, it seems that the
gaining on
gap
his
is
teammate, but not really on Rotek and on Widow. Ronaldinho on P5, far ahead of the rest of the
some 30 seconds ahead of the Mighty Joe, who in turn is some 40 really seconds ahead of Skillet.
Yeah, Skillet is out. And now you see it. Mighty Joe was really close to Yira. Oh, and then it's Yira who spins around Skillet Racer, Skillet Striker. You see, both cars are out of hybrid, and they are losing massively time.
Yep.
I mean, okay, that's the reason Yirai was in the pits and pitted for the second time. But as Brumadinho has still a lot of hybrid left, I think there's no danger expected from the guys behind. Widow and Rotek are pretty much on the same pace. Milano is also really consistent, always with 3. It's really depending how you make the lappings.
It looks like the gap is. He might have had a bit of a moment. He might have had a moment. I thought that the gap to Brumadinho had closed a little bit, and it's increasing. And now the gap to Milano is increasing as well. It was 39 before; it's 41 now. It seems that he's got double. He seems might have lost it again, or might have had another technical difficulty. It's on the pit.
Back on P4. Really unlucky for the number 1 car.
Yeah.
But that's the risk you take. If you have that moment and that issues with the pedal, and it might have come back.
Yep. Yeah, you never know when it's gonna hit you again. Yeah, when there's those sort of phantom problems. I've had that in the past. Only once, really. It's never happened before, but yeah, it's really worrying when it happens to you, and more in the middle of a race. Like it just basically ruins your race.
Yeah.
Because again, once it happened, a technical problem is not your fault. You've lost a lot of time. You feel sorry, and bad for your teammates, and you want to push and recover that gap. But then again, you're pushing too hard. You increase the risk. Things happen as well. It's unfortunate. It's out of the pit now, and
it doesn't matter how good you understand yourself. I know that the WSR guys have a really strong connection together, but as a driver, no one is mad at you, but you still have in your mind to come on. I ruined the race for all of them.
You feel bad. You feel bad.
Saturday. Technically, you're not wasting. You're racing for points. WSR will have the bigger target to go for the title defense, and
that's that extra pressure added as well. That's it. But yeah, you always do feel bad on these sort of endurance races where you're sharing a car with other drivers. If something happens, you always gotta feel bad.
To everyone else in other lobbies. Of course, we don't hope it. But from our experience. We had Le Mans last season when we were, after 3 stints, already 5, maybe even 6 minutes down to the leaders. because we made some mistakes. Also had a bit of bad luck with some other cars, but if the guys keep focus, and you need a bit of luck, because if the opponents are consistent and doing no mistakes, you have no chance to recover from 6 minutes. But after 21 hours we were separated by 5 seconds. It was insane close between us and WSR, and in the end Antonio had the better nerves and won the race. So it is the never give up mentality what you need for the endurance racing, because you never know what happens. We saw it in IRL, in sim racing. I mean,
definitely it is. Endurance racing is a definitely a different mindset that you need to have, you know, because
remember
again it's a
Toyota
really long race.
To their first LMP victory against Porsche, and then the car, I think 3 minutes or so, a few minutes before the race ends, they stopped on the start finish line, because and this can happen to everyone. We don't hope, but it is technically like a disconnect. The car disconnected.
It can be really like killing, spirit killing. You know, it can be like you just don't know what to do. But again, that's racing. That's why we love this, because you know,
it's about
anything can happen, really.
Probably if you have a good sort of team, you know that the guys who are currently waiting for their stints are even more motivated to give you a good feeling that your crash, your failure didn't ruin the race. So
it doesn't matter. We recover it, and we'll be back up in there.
Are maybe they are even in a party with them and pushing him. But also after the stint, they will give everything to.
Like you said, I'm sure they have a really strong team connection. I've seen them racing, at least in here, since we've started racing for the ES, and I'm sure they are basically coaching him and telling him like, listen, that doesn't matter, and just stick to your pace. We're gonna be back in there in a minute. Like, you recovered it before, you can recover it now. Really, it's just a matter of just trying to keep that sort of peace, calmness on your head through the stint. You can see now how he's recovering time to the mighty Joe.
And Mr. Krabs closed in on Johnny. Johnny is
the
really
gap is closed up. Johnny's tires are almost gone. It's about 20, 30, 25% left on those tires. They're gonna be screaming for grip. And again, we know that Mr. Krabs
Johnny will have to pit in the next couple of laps. I think maybe
and Mr.
maybe 2 laps are left. There's so much left.
Mr. Krabs is gonna have another 7, 8 laps, I would say, minimum.
So Mr. Krabs will definitely pit only one more time, and Johnny has to pit 2 more times, or Johnny is going now for a stint on the mediums, what I really don't expect. And Johnny is wide on the used tires, and you might see the change of the lead.
Yes, he's got a moment, and that's really a bad place to lose the car. You lose a lot of speed, your tires get dirty, you have no grip basically through this fast section, and you just sit in dark for the car behind. He managed to keep the speed up.
So Mr. Krabs is definitely my favorite in this lobby, strategy-wise, because we've seen
he's
Johnny
looking
now
the best.
Definitely in the pits.
Yep. Now he's closer. He's got better tires. He knows it's a matter of time. He knows it's just a matter of waiting. I don't think he's gonna try to force it, or perhaps he's gonna try to force a bit of a mistake from Johnny, and that will gain him that bit more time. Let's see how this develops.
So Johnny will definitely pit now. Will have to do a stint a bit longer than 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, if the tires will make it. So I think Johnny is the final pit stop for Johnny, I think. But as we see, Mr. Krabs is going longer. He will have to refuel much shorter.
And he will have fresher tires in the end.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely the better looking on the GT class.
A squishy dealer, maybe with another moment, or maybe just the lap times are back because lap 39 is showing is not even shown for me anymore.
Yeah, they do get. Yeah, sometimes they get bugged, and yeah, some of the laps double up on the screen for some reason.
It's a feature. It's Gran Turismo. It's all features, all planned.
Yeah, I hope the Polyphony Digital fixes that fairly soon, because yeah, it's really hard to to follow a race when you're not even sure of the lap times of the cars.
I think something is a bit.
So I'm sure Polyphony Digital is listening, so please, we will ask you, Polyphony Digital, to fix those issues if you can on the lobbies, please. We will appreciate it very much, thank you.
Yeah, the funny thing is they can, because their events are running. I mean, they have features on the events that we want to have, but we will never get them.
Yeah. But that will be for another discussion for another time.
This time WEC on the worn tires didn't lose that much time, so maybe it was just a little down phase in the first stint after losing the lead.
Yeah, you as a driver, you will know as well. You always have those bit of moments where some days you're not just as fast, or it doesn't come as easy as some others. Even within the day. Or as we can see now, Dick is close to Milano, but that is
unlapping himself.
He's trying to unlap himself from his teammate. Such a difficult position to be in for Dick now. I'm sure they will be in communication with the car number 51 from WSR, saying probably want to let Dick go, see if he can actually recover the time and get himself that lap back from the leaders, because it seems that he's going to lap down, and that's going to be hard to recover now. Obviously we have the front cars on LMH will still have to pit, obviously, as he's done his pit stop.
Yes, but also we believe Dick gain a lot of time on the pit stop, because Rotec is almost out of fuel. Widow has a lot of fuel left.
Yeah, he's been managing. He seems to be managing better fuel and tires. He's on a better position overall. He should have no problems to keep the lead on the stint. See Brumadinho now again in a bit of no man's land.
Already in the pits, because he has very much fuel left, but tire-wise doesn't look like it. So definitely a really short final pit stop for Brumadinho.
Yeah. He will definitely need to pit again. It's about 40 minutes so for to the end of the race. So yeah, it will be difficult to keep it. We see Rotec now on the box. Mighty Joe, I believe, as well.
So Mr. Krabs still a lot of fuel left. Another fuel indicator.
It will be really interesting to see what his fuel mileage says, how his estimate of how many laps. Also, he's got at least another 3. Definitely 2, probably 3.
And then there's no pressure on the tires for him to pit earlier.
No, so he can. Yeah, he can push. Tank. He can push those tires now to the limit. He can actually make sure that he's on his personal best on his in lap, or the 2 laps before his pit stop, because that can gain you a lot of time.
And the refueling speed is horribly slow.
Yes, as an endurance event, yeah, it takes time. It's really it's painstaking when you're sitting in there waiting.
Will be very hard for Johnny to counter this final short fuel pit stop from Squishy. And then it is a bit of a risk if you start pushing a bit too much, because yeah, we saw Johnny was on the edge of the tires on the last stint. Now he has to go even, I think, 3 more laps longer than before. And if you start pushing because you want to close the gap to the leader, and the leader is gonna probably be Mr. Krabs after the pit stop. Well, we have now Milano and Widow in the pits. Rotek already was in the pits and is now stuck in traffic again on one of the worst possible spots. You really don't want to have a GT car in the really snaky sections in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to completely change your lines. You cannot really stick to the fast line, and yeah, you definitely lose lap time always. Driving to P2, and yeah, we can see now the gap is at 10 seconds.
Just
another
4 seconds gained, or 6 seconds gained. Just
yeah, Widow clearly with the advantage in there, and we've seen that from the beginning of the stint. Really, we saw him fly past from the start, all the field, all the way to the top, and
yeah, and tire-wise, Rotek will not have the chance to counter it in the end, because Widow was also much better on tires. So without bigger mistakes, Widow should take this away.
Yeah, the first 3 should be fairly set. The first 4, to be honest, I mean, well,
yes, I don't see Tick gaining 52 seconds in 35 minutes.
Yeah, it will be difficult without a mistake from Brumadinho's part. It will be difficult.
I mean, Brumadinho is insane consistent. We see his last 10 laps.
Yeah, like I said,
41.
Yeah, he's our main guy.
41 flat to 41.6, so you can't be
it's crazy
really
insane. It's crazily insane. Yeah, it's consistent. Yeah, it's really consistent. Yeah.
So P6 Mighty Joe also did his final pit stop. Already a lap down. We're starting at hypercars, lapping hypercars at the moment.
Yeah. As a result, we see the differences between some of the cars go up and down more abruptly, since you know when you get the lap cars coming past you have to let them pass, and it's always harder to lap a hyper than it is to lap a GT, obviously. And the matching pace is without collaboration from the other car, it can get really tricky.
But I think in the same class you have to cooperate, because there's no reason to.
Definitely, yeah.
So let's stay on Mr. Krabs, because I'm pretty sure we see him in the pits now.
Yep.
Car number
he
24,
will be going for
WSR Porsche.
Yeah, not much fuel left of that Porsche. He's gonna go on the pits and he's gonna take the lead of the race, most probably, given the advantage that he had towards the end of the stint towards Johnny. He's gonna be probably ahead.
He has to refuel just for. He's more fuel efficient anyways, and there's.
He will need less, and
35 minutes left, while Johnny had to refuel for almost 45 minutes.
Yeah, brilliant race from Mr. Krabs. WSR again, putting up a magnificent performance. He is going on to the pits. Some 30 seconds behind was the gap behind to Squeezy.
Yeah, really, in both classes, ups and downs for WSR. You have Milano, who's still in the hypercar in a good position, but your number 1 car had the big issues with tick, and also smaller issues for Squishy Dealer, I think. Still don't think that it was a regular stop. But on the other hand, you have Mr. Krabs, who probably gonna take away the win of this lobby. Yes, he's now out of the pits. Johnny is 5 seconds behind him. So yeah. Johnny might close in a bit now, but in the end...
Yeah, first lap out of a pit, you know, you have your tires are still cold, they're not out of temperature. The car is on the highest load of fuel, so you know, it's a bit lazier. So yeah, you always gonna lose a bit of time when you're out lap, so it's tricky to you have to keep the car really smooth. So yeah, probably Johnny will recover some now. You can just kill it now on the skillet striker on the pit.
Final pit stop for him and the Pegasus team. A beautiful car from Pegasus.
Yes.
They always have great, beautiful cars.
Let me see, Widow getting to the lap now, skillet striker. And now Jedi Rex 55 seconds ahead of Skillet. Currently standing on 7th, 34 seconds ahead to the Mighty Joe.
As we have Alphabet now in the chat, and she's saying that they had to change the whole stint plan now. Has Tick still the issues? They don't seem to be permanent, but
they are. But that's the worst when you know it's random and you don't
you cannot.
know. Yeah, you cannot manage it.
Adjust your driving. If you know it is always the same, you can adjust your driving and fix it. But
yeah. When it's so sort of random and you can't really do anything. It's a really difficult position to be in for the team as well in terms of having to change stint order and strategies and things like that. It's really unfortunate. Yeah, it's 58 seconds now. We can see how it's not able to increase the gap. The difference on the front have increased a little bit. Keeping the same positions, Widow on the lead, Rotek on second, Milano keeping the third. Around 11, 12 seconds left.
Gas pedal issues, and they are not consistent. They're just turning up by surprise. So that is
very
the worst possible situation you can be as a driver.
Yeah, phantom technical problems are definitely the worst. When you have a problem that just manifests itself sometimes and you don't know when it's gonna be, that's just like a nightmare. That's just worst case scenario for a driver. When you're in the middle of a stint and you see you're losing time, it's really hard to keep your head cool and think straight, you know.
So the Spider GT car of Uri must have had a moment. Front aero damage and rear aero damage.
Yeah, he will be losing definitely.
Now he will pit.
A lot of speed.
Chance for Skillet Striker to close in. I think Uri will only. Maybe he takes fresh tires and stuff. But really strange damage. Looks a bit like he was in a sandwich of two cars on a lapping situation.
Yeah, it might be. It might have been from two different incidents as well. Maybe he had a bit of damage on the front, and then on another incident, some damage on the spin.
As a car with damage, rear left suspension. Also strange damage. How you can damage only your rear left suspension? I mean, it snap oversteer in the wall. It
just banged the car. Yeah, banged the car. Some of the corners in this track have the walls fairly quick on the exit, so yeah, it's just a matter of go a bit wide and you will go into the wall. It is strange to see just suspension damage for sure. Yes, so, you normally get some aero damage before you actually get some mechanical damage, but yeah, interesting.
So same for Rotek. So Milano had a 40 flat, but also now doing low 39, so the top three are on the same pace. We don't see much movement in the gaps. Bernardino is not really losing much time to tick at the moment. Now back in the 40s after doing consistent 41s. So the hypercar class is quite sorted for the moment.
Yep.
We have Squishy Dealer, who's now 9.5 seconds. Squishy Dealer was not in the pit yet. So Johnny closed in the gap to Mr. Krabs down to 3 seconds. But you see,
yeah, we can
Mr.
see how the
Krabs'
difference
tires
in.
are still brand new.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. Johnny's are already gone that peak of top grip that those tires offer you when they're new, that fresh shiny rubber, allowing for maximum grip. That's all gone for Johnny, at least on the front. The rear might still gripping enough to keep him on within fairly good lap times to actually shorten the gap, but yeah, Johnny's gonna have a really, really tough time. Definitely Mr. Krabs with better advantage now. We can see overall leader Guido now approaching to lap Mr. Krabs. Leader Squeezy Dealer now. Ooh, difficult place always when you have to do it through those fast sections.
And even if you're doing with your teammate, and you
yeah,
might be in
even
communication, it is still
yeah,
just one
yeah,
little
it's
slide
still,
and you can lose both
yeah,
cars.
it's really difficult, yeah. And that
And
would be the
Jack
worst
is
thing
off
you
again.
will
Jack
want to
has done
happen
this
as
again.
well. Yeah. Oh yes, we. Yeah.
And if you watch the throttle inputs, you sometimes see that it really goes from nowhere to absolute maximum at some point. And now he's in the pits, and that is the issue that Eiffelblitz explained, that you that the throttle has sometimes maximum input while you're not even on it, and then it's impossible to hold the car.
Oh yes, that's nightmare scenario really. Like, you can't stop the car.
So it doesn't look like
and on a hypercar
that you can
that's
fix.
just like
So not sure if we see Tick on another stint. So maybe the rest of the race is done by Eiffelblitz and Vulcan.
Such an unfortunate thing to happen.
Yeah, this is endurance racing. Sometimes you're on the lucky side, and sometimes
yeah.
the gap between Johnny and Mr. Krabs stays consistent. Absolute impressive race from Mr. Krabs, being that fuel and tire efficient.
Yeah, through the stint, through the whole stint. Yeah, really consistent, managing tires and fuel perfectly. Yeah, really.
On average, he was maybe 2/10 slower per lap than Johnny or Squishy Dealer.
Yeah,
but,
at least, yeah.
Being super efficient on the material.
That's what it gives you the advantage in the end. Yeah, that's something that again is been seen in racing very many times. Really, is in the end on endurance racing, it's that consistency that allows you to stay ahead, to gain the gaps, and they are definitely going for the better strategy today. I don't know if there are other Porsches on the other teams are doing that sort of similar strategy, but I think Mr. Krabs is doing an excellent job in keeping those tires alive.
Yeah, I mean, we see Kuh here in the Don Porsche. and he's definitely not doing that strategy or being that efficient.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it is in big part due to Mr. Krabs driving for sure.
And as you have that drivers that have that extra power of this tire voodoo and fuel voodoo and still being quick.
Yeah. Yeah, the gap now is shortening. It's come down a little bit. It seems that Johnny now is trying to push a little bit. He's trying to put some pressure on Mr. Krabs. He probably knows by now that he's got a disadvantage on the strategy, and I'm sure he most definitely knows what the situation is. He will know that Mr. Krabs has got advantage on tires and fuel, so he knows that he's got a tough task ahead. We can see that he's just reducing ever so slightly, 2.3 to 2.2, back to 2.3. It's all like within tenths. But Johnny is definitely going to need more if he wants to put some pressure on Mr. Krabs. I don't think Mr. Krabs would be too bothered by having him 2 seconds behind.
And it is a little bit more than 20 minutes to go. And first he has to close this gap, then overtaking is the next thing.
And ideally then you will want to actually put a bit of a gap on him for your teammate to be able to have a bit more quiet start.
And all of that means push. And
which means risk.
Also for the tires. I mean, there's still 20 minutes to go for him on these tires.
Yeah, he's gonna need to. I think he's gonna need to manage a little bit towards the end. Those front tires are looking not great.
No, not really. So Widow 13 seconds ahead of Rotek. Get between Rotek
comfortably
with 11 seconds. Brumadinho 42 now with the extra pit stop off tick again. 50 seconds the gap. So Brumadinho the loneliest man on track, I would say.
Yeah, he's had a pretty long race, other than the start where obviously there's always all the cars are together, so it's a bit more closer racing. But since then it seems that the cars ahead are just too fast to catch, and the cars behind are not fast enough to catch him. So he's in a bit of no man's land.
We have Mighty Joe on P6. Already let down, so doubles are also let down. Rex is close to be 2 laps down, I think. It's in track position.
It will be soon,
Skilled striker on P8 in the hyper class. Almost 3 seconds to gap between Mr. Krabs and Johnny.
Yeah, it seems that Johnny does not have enough. He probably now by now knows as well that if he just pushes to get to him, he will use up his tires and he's gonna struggle towards the end. So I'm guessing he rather stays there, keep the tires alive till the end, being able to keep the gap to squeeze it behind.
So,
although it's got a nice
gap is 12 seconds to Josh, but I think Josh has to pit again. I mean, 90 minutes is pretty long on these tires.
He
will definitely
be difficult. It will be difficult. Yeah. You can see Guido now, some 14 seconds ahead. Is definitely the car of the race for the LMH cars. Fantastic race from the back of the grid to the front, leading. As soon as he still remains with the fastest lap for the lobby at 1:38.5. Really fast. Actually, he's just done that 59th lap of the race.
And that's what I mean. You never know what the other lobby is doing. I mean,
No,
I can tell you, fastest lap in the other lobby is 38.9 from Ruby, from the other CPTL car, I guess. So CPTL is really flying.
Yep. Yeah, they really are flying. They have an amazing pace. Also Rotec, he's done a really fantastic race as well.
Yeah,
definitely. So has Milano. They've been mistake free, staying on the pace. They might not had the speed that Widow showed, but they definitely were able to keep the gaps not fairly big. So that's always giving a chance to your teammates to act, to do something on the next lobbies as well, because you never know what other drivers are doing for the next stint. So you always want to keep those gaps to the minimum as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, as we can see again, same applies in this. On the lower positions is always the same. There's always going to be more mistakes. So if you can just close those few seconds that you gain on that guy ahead, even if it's from 1:10 to 1:05, it still counts. Because again, you never know what's going to happen in the next lobby, or what's actually currently happening on the other lobby for this race.
And Johnny is not gaining anything. I think he kind of gave up on really pushing Mr. Krabs because
I think he just wants to guarantee that he's gonna finish on second, keep that big gap. He's got over 20 seconds to squeeze the dealer behind. He knows that that's a big caution to have to the other WSR team race car. So I think he's just managing really. As probably as well as Mr. Krabs is. Probably Mr. Krabs knows that Johnny is doing that as well. He knows that he's not going to have enough to push, so he doesn't need to push it yet. Anyway.
Ticks lap times are back in normal race. So
yeah, he's back on the leading times, but he's been very unfortunate today, and he's just having to overcome those issues, technical issues at random happening. It's always a nightmare to manage, and then he just have to push more and more every time to recover all that time. It would have been pretty stressful stint for Dick.
Yeah, definitely. I think he will be pretty happy when this thing is done.
Yeah. When you compare it again, for example, with his teammate Milano, who's had a fairly quiet race. The top two are ahead, but he never really was able to kind of close enough to actually put pressure on them. He just stayed there, sitting on third, big gap behind. So he had a really comfortable, easy race, in contrast to his teammate, who was the unlucky one today. Yeah, Milano now 26 seconds behind the leader. Brumadinho a minute 12.
Very important for Brumadinho and for your team. He's still
very good.
Lap.
Very good. Very good stint. Very important to always keep a nice clean stint in the beginning. Make sure that you stay again as close as possible to the leaders, losing as minimum as less time as possible. Again, he will know that Tick is coming behind. He's had the issues. He's raging Braun inside that cockpit, pushing as much as he can. That gap is going to be going down. Again, for Mighty Joe, he will probably see that gap to Tick increase and increase. Even though now we can see it's actually decreasing, but it's again due to the position of the cars through the laps when you're accelerating on a fast corner or when you are going through a slow section. It makes variations. The Mighty Joe with a minute behind to G-Direct, so he's probably quite comfortable just not pushing.
Probably now going the second lap down.
Yeah, we've got very little fuel. We still have some 12 minutes left of the race. That's gonna give us about another 5-6 laps more. I think he's gonna need to manage his fuel if he doesn't want to stop again for a bit of a splash and dash.
In my opinion, he's defending a bit too much while being blue flagged, and
yeah, he should have already give that place. There's no need for him to be in there. I'm sure Widow is lost for an amount of time now.
Yeah, and even yourself, of course, you're still doing your race, but with the defensive moves, you will lose more time in the end than just give him the position and try to follow him.
Yeah, surely, obviously, no one wants to go a lap down. It's never a good feeling when the leader comes, or when you see those blue flags and you know you have to lift, because that's the thing, you're seeing a blue flag. That's race control telling you have to lift. Ooh, we've seen the Porsche out of a Zero Kaku.
If there was contact between him and the leading car of Widow.
Yeah, he's got damage, left rear. Widow is finally gone through.
I mean, here I was a bit on the edge with the overtake.
And again, that's one of those things that would have never happened if he would have given the place like he probably should have a couple of turns before. He would have avoided, because he basically forced the 3-car combination through the fast corners, and that's just asking for trouble. Obviously, it's just an unfortunate situation, but again, it could have been avoided easily if the blue flags were obeyed right away.
Now the time of Mr. Krabs has come, because he can push.
Yeah, he can stay on his times steady.
I would even say that he refueled a bit. Thought it could have been a bit much, because there's 10 minutes left.
I'm sure that they would have had that under measure. I'm sure they will have the counting, but again, you can always count a bit, like not right. Easy to make a mistake on the calculations as well. We've seen that on the past in some races.
So yeah, and Krabs is now making the gap to Johnny bigger and bigger. Sort the words in your head, Mr. Sick. And also Squishy Dealer is closing the gap, because also really fresh, really good materials. So the WSR guys are very, very good at car managing. Yeah, and they're nailing their strategy for sure. Even though we as we discussed, we were that stop with Squishy Dealer, with that we thought was a bit of a unnecessary stop. Perhaps it's still, they managed to keep that strategy on really good terms. Having the advantage towards the end of the race is always a better strategy. At least in my opinion. Yeah, definitely. Absolutely nothing happening at the front. Gaps are consistent. Tick is now trying to unlap himself from Rotec.
Yeah, I'm sure Rotec won't put much opposition in that sense. I don't think he wants to have any involvement.
At this fighting,
it will be interesting, because again, he doesn't need to he has the right to keep the position up front. The question is, will he decide to give it up? So to avoid that he is clever decision is just towards the end of the stint, just less than 10 minutes to go. You don't want to have any problems when you have a car that is kind of pushing for unlapping. Yeah, just let him go. He's got enough gap behind. Yeah.
And you see, Milano gained about a second just by this battling, and that's why.
Yeah. Of course, you're always gonna lose a little bit because you always gonna have to lift a little bit earlier or brake a little bit more. But yeah, in the end, I think it was the better decision to make. You can see how now Tick is just opening the gap. He's clearly faster, or at least pushing faster for now towards on the end of the stint. Rotec doesn't really have any need for pushing or for taking any risks. He's sitting comfortably in second. The gap ahead is just increasing so slightly. Then the gap behind is just staying. Yeah, it's been a pretty comfortable race, let's say, for the guys in Rotec that is.
No better, bigger position fights. I think no one is getting close enough to get involved in any fights. The closest gap is the 6.3 seconds between Mr. Krabs and Johnny. And it's pretty unlikely that Johnny is closing in the last 4 minutes. And here we saw how you should manage reflex with Ku, who had Johnny, guy in the same class behind him. Just go a bit wide in the corner, leave the inside open, let them pass. You don't lose that much time. You will not get reported, and everything is fine.
Yeah, and you can manage to exit the corner close to them, and you can gain a bit of from their slipstream through the acceleration. You can stick to their back, follow a little bit their lines, gain a little bit of info as well, as to what lines they taking, where they're braking. It always pays off. Approaching the last 5 minutes of the race now. Pretty much the positions are going to be settled by now. There is fairly big gaps all around between all the cars. No one is going to be wanting to push or risk anything at this stage. After an hour of 55 minutes of racing, they're going to be tired, they're going to be stressed. They will be probably wanting to finish like as quick as possible.
With damage.
Oh yes, we can see front right.
Must have happened. I think lap 67 with the 144.
Yep, that's 4 seconds of a pace. Yeah, you can see now how his next lap was a 43.
Yeah, the good thing for him might be that he still has some battery and the guys in front not, so he will not gain time, but most likely he will not lose that much time. Because as we see now, the times are also dropping for... just should keep quiet, because at that moment Widow set a 39.2.
Yeah, Widow seems to be still able to drive on them.
Yirai not managed to fuel good enough.
Yeah, he couldn't make it in the end. Yeah, it was gonna be close. It was just a few laps short. It's always a difficult decision when you see yourself in that spot where you're not gonna have enough. Do I manage? Do I pit? it's always hard to determine. He's managed to keep the position to Skillet, striker on the Pegasus.
And it was just a short splash and dash.
Yeah, we can see the gap now is gone up to 7 seconds. Comfortably cruising towards the end of the race with the lead. Mr. Krabs, WSR team, fantastic strategy, fantastic race really.
So yeah, I think 2 more laps for Mr. Krabs.
And yeah, he's bang on the strategy. He's got basically the right amount of fuel to finish. The tires are just now might start to feel a little bit less grip than normal. But yeah,
a bit of
really,
a moment here for Widow.
Yeah, we can see it's gone wide. 10-1. He will have again. It's gone on the grass. He will have a bit of dirt on his tires for the next few laps. So he did manage to open the gap a little bit more to Rotec, up to 20 seconds now. The gap between first and second.
I lost about 1 second in that corner to Rotec, but still almost 20 seconds to gap.
Yeah, it seems that Rotec is just managing the lap times as well. Milano still with the damage. We can see how his lap times have been impacted, running on the 42s now. He's the grab 8 seconds ahead now. Yeah, he's
brilliant car and tire management from both WSR cars in the GT class. So I think
and
Squishy had a bit of a moment, light damage, that's why he had to pit earlier. And now Widow is going into the final lap, and it seems that he's the only one who should be able to do lap number 72. I think Rotec will not cross the line in time. Rotec, the first one to end his stint. 19.6 the gap to Widow. Milano holding up the WSR flag.
Yeah, Widow the only one that it will be going ahead for the 70 seconds lap now. Rex finishes on 7th, Milano and finishing on 3rd. Brumadinho for the Scuderia Pantera is gonna finish on 4th. He's managed to shorten those gaps a little bit. Short at least the one ahead. Damage on Milano's car towards the end of the stint didn't help them.
Mighty Joe ended his stint on P6, Skillet Striker
on
P8. Brumadinho now crossing the line, P4 in his stint. Let's see.
Now we will have only
10 seconds to get to Johnny now, so Mr. Krabs really pushed it in the end.
Yeah, it really did. Yeah, a really big difference now towards the end of the stint. We can see Johnny's left front tire is almost gone now.
Congratulations for Widow winning his stint, his lobby.
Yeah, congratulations to Capital Team. He's done a fantastic race. Widow has done a magnificent stint. I mean, impeccable. It's been really.
Mr. Krabs 9.3 seconds ahead of Johnny, so really close battle compared that it's a 2-hour race.
Yeah, it would be hard to say who deserves the driver of the day on this lobby better between Widow and Mr. Krabs. It would be really difficult. I will say Guido just takes it inches that bit ahead because he started from the back and he just went through the whole grid. But yeah, amazing race from both of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Really congratulations, yeah, to Capital Team, DLL and WSR and their podium finishes on this Stint. That's great racing.
Definitely. And I think we should end this stream quite soon because as we were a bit delayed, I think the
Yeah.
break will not be that long, and I don't know how.
Yeah,
it
we
works
will want
with
to.
the
Yeah,
other
we will want
channel.
to keep with the time schedule for
So-
for the whole. Yeah, and again, we want to do a big shout out to the whole Orga team,
Definitely.
Comfy and Michelle and Flipsy and Charles and everyone.
All the
Doing an
1,000 guys
amazing.
who are involved
Yeah,
in it.
yeah. Those are just the names that I can remember now. I could read you hundreds of names of people involved in this, and yeah, really big shout out to all of them because they make this happen. Yeah.
So yeah. So thanks for commentating with me. Enjoy the rest of the race, guys, and see you in the chat maybe.